Hi guys, today we're going to learn about adding rational numbers. Before we start looking at word problems, I wanted to review the integer rules for adding numbers. Taking a look at this first one, we have two positives. We're adding a positive with a positive. When the signs are the same like this, we are going to add the numbers together and keep the sign the same. So if we have 3 plus 5, 3 plus 5 is 8. Since both of these numbers are positive, our answer is going to stay positive. Let's jump to the bottom. Both of these are negative. These are the same sign. So again, we are going to add and keep the sign the same. -3 plus -5. 3 plus 5 is 8. And since both numbers are negative, our answer is going to stay negative. Now, these two middle problems are dealing with integers with different signs. The first one is positive and the second one is negative. If that's the case, we are going to subtract the numbers and then take the sign of the larger number. 5 plus -3. So since these signs are different, 5 is positive, 3 is negative, let's subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. And we're taking the sign of the larger number. The larger number is 5. Since 5 is positive, we're going to keep our answer positive. Let's try another one. 3 plus -5. Again, 3 is positive, 5 is negative. We are going to subtract. Now, we may not can do 3 minus 5 in our head, so we need to flip that around. Let's flip this and make it look like 5 minus 3, and that is 2. And we are to take the sign of the larger number. 5 is the larger number here. 5 is negative, so our answer is going to be negative. So when signs are the same, we add and keep the sign. When signs are different, we are going to subtract and take the sign of the larger number. Let's look at the first word problem. Kyle pours out 3/4 of a liter of liquid. When you're pouring out liquid from a beaker, that is negative, and this is a -3/4. Then he pours out another 1/2. So we're going to add another -1/2. Now, if you are not comfortable with adding and subtracting fractions, we can always change those to decimals. The other day we reviewed how to change a fraction to a decimal by dividing. However, these numbers can relate with money, so I'm going to help us try to use some number sense and change these to decimals in our head. 3/4 of a dollar is 3/4. If you have 3/4, you have 75 cents, so 0.75, and it's negative. Half of a dollar is 50 cents. If you have 2/4, that's 50 cents, and we're going to keep it negative. Now let's add these together. When we add these numbers together, we need to line our decimals up, make everything nice and neat, so we don't mess up and add wrong numbers together. 5 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1. Bring those decimals straight down before you do anything else. And then 1 plus 0 is 1. We added them together. The signs are the same, so we need to keep the sign negative. So the amount that was poured out of the beaker was -1.25 liters. Ernesto writes a check for $2.50. Then he deposits $6 into his checking account. What is the overall increase or decrease in the account? When you write a check, you are spending money. So that's a negative 2.50. And then when you deposit money into account, your account is going up. So that is positive $6. Now I want to change that 6 to 6.00 just to make it look like money. I'm noticing I have a negative and a positive, so we are going to subtract. I'm not going to subtract. I'm not going to do 2.50 minus 6. I need the larger number on top. So I'm going to put the 6 on top and the 250 on bottom. Let's subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. I can't take 5 away from 0, so we're going to borrow from that 6 and make it a 5. This is now 10 minus 5 is 5. Bringing the decimal down, do not forget that step. 5 minus 2 is 3. And then it says to take the sign of the larger number. In this case, the larger number looks to be like it's 6. So 6 is positive, and our answer is going to be positive. Positive $3.50 was the change in the account. Let's look at one last thing. So the opposite or the additive inverse of a number is the same distance from 0 on a number line as the original number. Let's look at a number line. Put 0 in the middle. 5. The opposite or the additive inverse of 5 is negative 5. They're the same distance away from 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're just on the opposite side. So the opposite of negative 1 would be positive 1. When you add or take the sum of a number and its additive inverse, we're going to get 0. So if we take 5 and add that with negative 5, that would be the same as saying 5 minus 5, and yes, that does equal 0. Or if we take negative 1 and add that with positive 1, we would need to subtract. The signs are different. I'm going to flip this around too, just so it makes a little more sense to us. And I'm going to do 1 plus a negative 1 and then subtract 1 minus 1. And that does, again, equal 0. So today we reviewed the rules of integers, how to add integers. If they're the same sign, we're going to add and keep the sign the same. Or if they're different signs, we're going to subtract and take the sign of the larger number. We also reviewed what the opposite or additive inverse is. Those are two numbers that are the same distance from 0, like 5 and negative 5. And if we add those together, we will always get 0. Thanks for watching.